Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle shrinkflation. You know, that sneaky suspicion you get at the grocery store that you're paying the same amount of money, but getting less stuff for it. You know that feeling, right? You grab that bag of chips or a roll of paper towels, and it just feels different. A little lighter, maybe a little less substantial than you remember. Well, I am here to tell you, you are not going crazy. It is not your imagination.
This whole phenomenon actually has a name: shrinkflation. It's a mashup of the words shrink and inflation. And believe me, it is a completely deliberate strategy where companies give you less products, all while keeping that sticker price exactly the same.
Okay, so let's dive right in. To really wrap our heads around what's happening in our shopping carts, we need to be super clear on what shrinkflation is and what it isn't. Because yeah, it has a few sneaky cousins.
So think of it like this. There are kind of three main players here. First, you've got your standard in-your-face price inflation. Super obvious, right? The price goes up for the exact same product. Then there's our topic for today, shrinkflation, which is way sneakier. The price tag looks the same, but the amount you're actually getting goes down. And then you've got skimpflation. This one might be the sneakiest of them all. That's when the price and the size stay the same, but the company starts using cheaper, lower quality ingredients. Ever had a favorite snack and suddenly it just tastes kind of bland? Yep, that's probably skimpflation at work.
So that covers the what. But now for the really big question. Why? Why are companies actually doing this? Let's peel back the label and see what economic forces are really driving this whole thing.
I mean, if you think about it from their perspective, it really boils down to this fundamental problem. When all your own costs are going up, how do you protect your profits without totally scaring off your customers with higher prices? And they really are in a squeeze. The cost of raw materials, we're talking everything from cocoa for your chocolate bar to the pulp for your toilet paper. It's all going up. The energy to run the factories, the gas to ship the products, that's more expensive. Plus, wages are increasing. So they know if they just jack up the price on the shelf, you might just switch to a competitor. So what do? Instead of changing the price, they change the product.
And this is where it gets really interesting. This is the cold, hard math they're looking at. The data is super clear. We, as shoppers, are almost twice as sensitive to a price hike as we are to getting a little less product. A small jump in price can seriously dent sales, but a small reduction in the size, honestly, most of us don't even notice. So for a company just trying to protect its bottom line, the choice becomes pretty obvious, doesn't it? Okay, so that brings us to the how. How do they pull this off? Because the reason shrinkflation works so well isn't just about spreadsheets and economics. It's actually deeply rooted in the science of human psychology and the funny ways our brains perceive the world.
I mean, think about it. How on earth can a company remove 5, 10, sometimes even 15% of a product, and we just don't notice? Well, it turns out they're actually tapping into a scientific principle that was discovered well over 150 years ago.
The whole trick is based on this idea from 19th century psychology called Weber's Law. Now, in simple terms, it basically says that our ability to notice a change in something, like its weight or size, isn't a fixed amount. It's all relative to how big or heavy it was to begin with. So companies get obsessed with finding what's called the just noticeable difference. That's the smallest possible change that we can actually detect.
Okay, let me give you a super simple example. Imagine you're holding a little 2-ounce weight in your hand. If someone adds another ounce, you are definitely going to notice that. It's a huge difference. But now, what if you're holding a 20-ounce weight? That same 1-ounce change, it's practically impossible to feel. And that's exactly what manufacturers are doing. They are literally calculating how much they can shrink a product to fly just under our sensory radar.
And on top of that, they have a whole bag of clever packaging tricks to hide the change. They'll put a deeper indent, that little dimple, in the bottom of a jar of sauce. They'll design a cereal box that's taller and thinner, so it looks just as big on the shelf, but actually holds less. Or, the classic one, just pump a little more air into a bag of chips. Sometimes they'll even throw a new look label on there, which is a great way to distract you from noticing that the net weight has quietly dropped.
Okay, enough with the theory. Let's talk about reality. Let's look at how this stuff actually shows up in your shopping cart. We're going to look at some hard evidence from the last few years.
And wow, some product categories get hit way harder than others. Household paper products, they are a prime example. If you look at the data, the big brands of toilet paper and paper towels have seen some pretty dramatic cuts in their sheet counts. We're talking reductions of over 15, sometimes even 20% in just a few years.
Just look at that number. A single pack of Angel Soft Mega Rolls lost more than a quarter of its sheets. And what's really wild is that in some cases, the price for the whole pack might have even gone down a tiny bit.
But because the sheet count fell off a cliff, the price per 100 sheets, the number that really matters, quietly jumped by over 13%. Sneaky, right?
And it is happening absolutely everywhere in the store. Those Doritos bags? Yep, a little bit lighter now. Those family-sized cereal boxes, well, they now feed a slightly smaller family. Your can of Folgers coffee? They got smaller too. And the classic American pint of ice cream, 16 ounces? Yeah, check the label. A lot of those are now just 14 ounces.
But here's the thing. People are starting to catch on. The whole stealth part of this strategy is starting to fail. And as more of us become aware, the pushback is growing, from regular shoppers and even from governments.
Yeah, the secret is definitely out. More than 70% of Americans say they've noticed shrinkflation in the wild. And what's really interesting is, when you ask them, more people say they would actually prefer a simple, honest price increase. It really seems like most of us would rather just have the transparency than feel like we're being played.
And it's not just us. Governments are starting to step in. In France, stores now have to put up signs for 2 months, basically calling out any products that have shrunk. Brazil already makes companies put a notice right on the front of the package. And here in the US, a Shrinkflation Prevention Act has actually been introduced in Congress to try and get a handle on this.
So okay, with all of this going on, we come to the final and honestly the most important question. What can you do about it? Let's wrap this up with some simple, practical things you can do to become a much smarter shopper.
It really comes down to 3 key steps. First, and this is the big one, become obsessed with the unit price. You know that little number on the price tag on the shelf? The price per ounce or per sheet? That is your secret weapon. It cuts through all the fancy packaging tricks. Second, get to know your staples. If you buy the same brand of coffee every single week, just memorize its net weight. That way you'll spot a change immediately. And third, think about trying store brands. They often compete directly on price, so they can be a lot slower to downsize than the big national brands. So at the end of the day, shrinkflation is this powerful mix of economics and psychology. It's basically a game that's designed to be played just below our level of perception. But here's the cool part. Once you know the rules, you can completely change how you play. The best defense isn't waiting for a new law to pass. It's just being aware when you're in the aisle. By knowing exactly what to look for, you can make sure that you're the one deciding what's a good value, not some marketing department.